in communication with Southern California. Channel 9 Public Affairs presents the show where kids tell it like it is. Teen Talk.
Somewhere between the world of adolescence and adulthood lies a place and time filled with anxiety, tension, and turmoil, where teenagers are transformed into adults, not because of any voluntary initiative, but an arbitrary chronological designation. It's a place where first loves give way to relationships, and the responsibilities of adulthood are granted without benefit of wisdom or experience. It's a place we call the Teen Light Zone. I'm Joseph Feinstein, and today on Teen Talk, we've invited a group of 19 and 20-year-olds here to find out just what leaving adolescence has done to them physically, emotionally, and especially psychologically. Welcome, panel. Welcome to Teen Talk. You know, hindsight is that wonderful ability to look back and reflect on your life. In order to prepare you for the future, the past 7 years of your life have been very hectic and turbulent, I would imagine. And what were some of those peaks and valleys of your life? Yeah, Russell?
Some of the valleys were doing drugs, and that rolled into not finishing high school. I didn't finish high school, and I wish that I didn't do drugs, because either I was doing drugs and I couldn't make it to class, or it just didn't help me to go to class.
I'm glad that you're alluding to them as the valley, because a lot of kids would allude to the drugs as the peak of their teenage life. But I'm glad that you're understanding it. What about you, Tamara?
Well, for me, some of the valleys was that I didn't really focus in high school. And I wish now that I would have focused more on the education part of it, because it is beneficial. Although, when I got to 12th grade, I finally realized that that was really important. So I started to buckle down, and I got out of the social scene and got more into educational part of it.
Really?
So that was the peak.
What was the factor that kind of got you turned in a good way?
Actually, my grades and my punishments. I got tired of the punishments, and then I realized when I started trying to get into colleges and I started getting turned down, I started in my 11th, spring semester of my 11th year, and I started trying to enroll in colleges, and I got turned down a lot. So I said, I'm going to have to turn around and start getting
turn around. And you see that when you start saying it, when you start putting the emphasis on it, all of a sudden things start to change.
Yes,
nothing changes until the individual wants to do some changing.
Correct. Psychological
principle number, never mind. Marianne, what has been some of the principles, the peaks and the valleys for you?
Peaks and valleys. Let's see, I moved around I went to 4 different high schools, and many kids today are, but I was from a divorced home or broken home or whatever, and they separated the kids at an early age. Yeah. And I spent a lot of time trying to just deal with my family and deal with control issues and all that stuff. And I didn't, like Tamara, focus on the stuff that really matters. I mean, this sounds so cliche-ish, but grades. I mean, grades are so significant and are such, a prominent part of your teenage years.
I'll say that grades are, but I'll also say that when you're being tossed around a lot and you're going from place to place, it must be very difficult getting settled inside your mind and inside your heart. And that must be a very tormenting kind of thing, wondering who am I going to be with. I used to think about that when I was a kid. I can remember my mother and father fighting constantly, and I was always wondering if they were going to get divorced, and if so, who do I go to live with, and who's going to take care of me? I mean, you're always thinking.
It was horrible. I mean, I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Well, we're going to, are you settled a little bit now?
Yeah, definitely.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. How about for you, Lynn? What was some of the hectic stuff of...
Well, some of the valley was high school. I didn't graduate, and I wish I would have, but I had, like what Marianne said, my family divorced when I was little, and I have a stepmom that, we fight constantly, and from that I moved out of my house. I moved out from my dad, and I moved out when I was 17, and I went to a boys' home, and I was there because they're trying to prepare me for a foster home.
Yeah.
And what they did there was they kind of like built me up and stuff like that, but I was too old and nobody wanted me. So, you know, because trying to be a foster kid, you're too old. So I had to go back to that story, and I went back there and tried to live with my parents, and it wasn't working out. And so I moved in with a friend of mine, Dean, and what I did there was went through school, and I liked school and I liked sport. And I went all my senior year, I went clear through school, but I just didn't have enough credits to graduate, and I was too embarrassed to go back. And if I could, I'd love to go back and graduate.
Yeah, that would be nice. Well, maybe you will make it up with the GED program one of these days and settle down into something that will cause you to get your diploma. What else would you guys like to change if you could change anything? Bianca, what would you change?
The fact that I spent, and my parents were divorced too, and it affected me. The fact that I spent so much time on the part that I couldn't change. I mean, it's been done, hoping for things for my father to come back and things like that just weren't going to happen.
Yeah, waiting for Daddy must be an awful long wait.
Yeah, so I wish I would have put it behind me and just went on with my life and tried to make the home a little bit more functional, because it was a dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
But now that I look back, I'm sort of happy that I became independent like I am.
David, are there any happy thoughts in that background, in that memory of yours?
Happy. Most of them pretty much are happy. I'm fortunate enough to be brought up by some pretty outstanding parents. They've really supported me and helped me. They're still together. And
you're getting a raise on your allowance when we get back. We got to take a break for just a moment, and when we come back, I want to ask you, panel, how you came to terms with your own sexuality as you're growing up, and what you know now that you wish you had known then. We'll be right back. One of the biggest challenges facing teenagers today is the peer pressure of using alcohol, marijuana, and other drugs. What did you do when you were offered this stuff for the first time? David, we kind of interrupted you very quickly on the end there, but what did you do?
With alcohol, I don't know, I was very relaxed about it, but when it comes to drugs, I really had a negative aspect towards it. I just didn't feel right towards it, especially in my younger years, say 9th to 10th grade. I think, you know, there's two types of people who take drugs, and they're the people who are very insecure and they want to escape. And there are other people who are really bored with their lives, and I don't think those people are focused on enough these days.
Well, what about you? What did you do?
At first, I just, you know, I really neglected it. I neglected those people. I tried to stay with my own crowd, but I tried it, and you know, most people tried it, and I found out what suited me, and you know, drugs didn't really suit me. It's too much. It's not real. It's not real life. It's faking it, and it's just escaping.
That's good. That's pretty much the way I feel about it too. It's not really me. The real me is brought out by a lot of fun, and a person with a good sense of humor will bring out my sense of humor tremendously. What about you, Shannon? Welcome to Teen Talk here. We haven't heard from you in that wonderful voice of yours. What's been happening lately?
Oh, nothing much. I would have to say, I'd have to agree with him in one sense that for me it was also, I was very young when the first experience for me happened.
How old?
I would say 6th or 7th grade. But I was very lucky in the sense that my group of friends was really tight and really close group, and I never got sucked into that whole group of people who did drugs, and it was really never an issue, and we were always able, all of us,
So was
to
it
say
just
no.
normal teenage experimentation kind of thing?
Yeah, and for me it wasn't even that. It was just I had so much security with my friends, and it just wasn't cool at the time, and I think I was really lucky in that.
I see.
In that sense.
I see. And what about you, Joe?
I was very lucky too, because my friends never pressured me into taking drugs. And I wasn't really offered drugs, you know, like on a friendly basis until I got into college. And I said, look, you know, I'm 20 years old, and I had got drunk before, that's no big deal, but to try drugs, I said, you know, should I try it? And he had the bong in his hand, and he said, you know, Greg, I'd really rather you not, because I once offered some guy, you know, a bong, and he took a hit, and he kept going on to bigger and bigger things, and eventually it just became a coke addict and heroin addict, and it kind of progressed to where he felt sorry that he had even offered his friend. They were good friends.
Yeah.
That's kind of like me when it's in my sense it was a little bit different, because I had straight A's and I was really athletic. I just started peaking as an athlete, and I don't think anybody ever offered it to me. It was just to the point where all the good-looking girls, all the top people, all the people in the school were doing drugs. My sister, and she was real popular, so I started smoking cigarettes. That was the first step, and you know, I was real shy about it. Then I got used to it. Then it just got down to different drugs, and the more drugs I did, the more people would say, "Hey, there's Russell," you know, and I got more popular as the drugs went on. So actually, nobody really offered it to me. It was kind of the peer pressure.
How did you stop the use of it after you got into it really heavy duty?
I did it so much to where I couldn't stop on my own. I got in trouble to the point where I was sent to jail, and I got involved in being away from it. It cleared my head out, and then a few people from a foundation called Wings got into my life and helped me and showed me that there was more to life than just doing drugs. Because it got to the point where drugs, if I wanted to have a good time, hey, do some drugs. And
it's so incredible that so many young people have found, Alcohol Anonymous, AA, only because they've gotten so involved with all the things that they shouldn't have gotten involved with in the first place.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's kind of sad. Let's turn now to some of your sexuality. You guys are in the 19, 20-year-old bracket, and you have been around a little bit. What do you understand about your sexuality now and about things along those lines? Bianca, you're going with somebody now for a while, right? What do you now know that you didn't know when you were a teenager?
I was never really promiscuous or anything.
Okay.
And I always dressed a little older and a little more provocatively, but I was never really active. And I find that it's very special, and it's more of a mental thing than physical. And it has to be shared with very few people.
Someone very special.
Yeah, and any younger person, teenagers, I think they should really hold off.
It's dangerous too.
Yeah, it's dangerous now.
Rather, we did a show on AIDS, and we've done our shows on sexually transmitted diseases, and that 15 to 19-year-old group is, you know, way out of proportion to every other group. So how do you control yourself, Shannon? You're a beautiful woman, almost there.
Well, for me, I would say mine wasn't a normal case because from the age of 15 to 19 or 20, I'd been dating the same person. So
You have.
And from that relationship into a new one. So I would say I'm not the average or ordinary case, and I've never had to worry about it, but it's always been a fear for me. And if I had to give advice, I would definitely say wait and take it more seriously than it is, because
I've never found an average, ordinary case with anybody, with any individual. We got to take a go. When we come back, if you could say one thing to every teenager in America, panel, I want you to think, what would you like to say to every teenager? We'll be right back in just a moment. We all know that adolescence is marked by such things as the telephone, the car, our friends, and the most often used words in a teenager's vocabulary, I want. Now that you guys are on the verge of becoming adults, you really are adults, what are your major concerns at this stage of your life? What do you want? Lynn, what do you want?
Well, as in a goal here, I want to be an actor, and I'm sure there's thousands of people that want to do the same thing.
I think you'll find a couple along Hollywood's great right way.
Well, there's a few down there. No, but I've wanted to do it all my life because I come from a small town, and everybody from my town, you know, wouldn't even think of doing that. I come from a party town. I mean, everybody drinks. That's one of the biggest issues, and it's like when we go back to our hometown, everybody, you know, like idolizes us, you know, just 'cause even if we did an extra part.
You think it'll be something that you'll really will you become an actor? You think?
I'm doing pretty good right now.
Okay.
And I'm hoping, but you know, it's something weird.
Get ready for rejection, Bubba. Get ready for rejection.
I want to go to college so I can have something to fall back on.
Okay.
And I don't know what I'd major in, but I'm sure I think it's
maybe acting. Maybe acting. That's
Maybe.
a good thing to major
Drama
in.
major.
Marianne, what do you want?
What do I want? I'm in school right now, so I'm pursuing my education. But what I really want is, for the last 4 years, I've been doing things that everyone else wants me to do, and I think the biggest thing that I want to do, the thing that fires me up, is to do something I want to do to find out what kind of person I am and who I am, and just to pursue that.
Well, good luck.
Thank
That
you.
sounds very reasonably intelligent and wise. Both. That sounds good. Good luck. Good luck. And you, Tamara?
And that's a good question. My story is similar to Lynn and Marianne's. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I wanted to be an actress, but everybody was telling me that's not realistic. So I decided to go to trade college. I graduated from trade college and found out that I didn't want to do what I majored in trade college. So I decided to pursue acting, and I'm also going to Cal State Dominguez to major in communications because I want to be a talk show host, which is close to entertainment.
We can sit close together and do this together. That'll be nice.
I figured it's close to entertainment so I can pursue both careers at the same time with the college knowledge and also acting and getting a real experience.
That's terrific. I wish you luck.
Yeah,
I wish
thank
you
you.
luck. There'll always be a place in Teen Talk here for you, no matter how old you get. Now, suppose the genie comes out of the magic lamp and rises and says you can have anything you want at this point. What do you say, Greg?
Well, I don't know if it would be a selfish answer or not, but actually I think it would.
Selfish is all right.
I want my father back. In 1985, he died of leukemia. He died in 2 weeks after he was diagnosed. And losing your father is such a terrible thing that if a genie came out and said, "What would you want?" I want him back, you know.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I really can appreciate what you're saying.
It's hard losing a parent. My mom disowned me pretty much. I haven't seen her for about 16 years, and it's like I went back and forth, and I fight with my stepmom. You know, I fought with her a lot, and now it's to where, you know, sometimes I wish I could see my mom. You know, I don't even know what she looks like. I can't remember, and it's like it's something hard. You know, and to lose something close like that. So I know how you feel.
So suppose that came true and the genie did come down and granted you the visibility to see and to be with your mother. What would you say to her?
That's hard. But I tell her I loved her and I wish I would have spent more. Wish she would be able to be with me because I love my dad very much. And even though I don't spend very much time with him, he knows I do.
And what would you say to your father? What would you say to him if he could? You know, he's hearing everything we're saying somewhere at some place.
I know, but see, the thing was, many people when someone they love die, they go, "Ah, I never got a chance to tell them I love them."
Yes.
That wasn't the case with me.
Good.
I told him I loved him, and he knew it, and he was very proud of me, and I was very happy for that. It made me feel good. But if the only thing I miss hugging him. You know, it's when you don't have your father. I see he always wanted to take his grandchildren to Disneyland and to show them. You know, he said if your grandfather was here, he'd tell us. You'd go to Disneyland every day, and that's what I can tell my children about my father.
you got some very nice thoughts and some very nice feelings to share with your children about a very lovely man.
Hey, my mom's okay too.
I got that feeling too.
Like
yeah.
in my case, I'm a little bit different. My dad's alive, but I didn't know him for a long time. I met him when I was 14, and I moved out here, and he lives in Dallas, and I didn't get to meet him. And now it really hurt my life, because now when I talk to him, I'd have the chance to talk to him, but when I call him and his wife answers now, I go, let me talk, my dad there, and I feel real bad about it, and we're not close at all. But
Well, let's take this away from the dads now, and let's suppose that you, and in your wisdom, could talk to a group of teenagers, and you had an assembly of teenagers, all the 25 million teenagers around the United States. What would you like to say to them? What would you say to them, Shannon?
Well, I'd have to say, and especially in light of what all of you have said, is that they shouldn't take their relationship with their parents lightly. They should always treasure them. And a lot of people don't get along with their parents in their teenage years, and that was, for me, I had a lot of problems with my mom too. And fortunately, I realized early on that it's a precious relationship to have, and you should always treasure it.
Beautiful, beautiful. We'll be back with some final thoughts in just a moment. Before an adolescent can get into the teen light zone, he or she will probably make several million goofs along the way. To the adults out there, I would beseech you to keep this in mind and push your patience to the limit. As our young adult panel so eloquently expressed, adolescence is a time of great change and anxiety. It necessitates patience, and when all else fails, even some more patience. As you, the parent, talk about your feelings and frustrations, I'm certain your children will also. And that's one of the best definitions of communication, something we can never have enough of, and that's good, concentrated talk. For Teen Talk, this is Joseph Feinstein saying we'll see you very soon.